Welcome into Jags A.M. this morning. Kainani Stevens, Brian Sexton, John Oehser with you today. The Jaguars coming off a tough loss to the Texans last week, but now they're turning the page, getting ready to face off against the Chargers on this Sunday here at Everbank Stadium. Let's start out with our big things for you today. Brought to you by GEHA, Government Employees Health Association, benefits for federal employees and retirees. Big thing number one is a big one. It's an injury update on Travis Hunter coming down yesterday. News that Travis underwent a successful surgery on the LCL of his knee. He will miss the remainder of the season. He's going to be out of football activity for about 6 months, but he'll be ready before the start of next season and training camp. Brian, we knew he was going to be out for at least a month. I don't think anybody's totally shocked he'll miss the rest of the season, but unfortunately not what you wanted to see out of his rookie year. Yeah,
a bummer, right? Because the last game we saw him, he scored his first touchdown. And in the month of October, we started to see some moments. And John, I think you were the one who said that there were going to be some moments where he contributed towards a win and in a transformational year, right? A guy where he was trying to play both sides of the ball. There were some wins, but we still wanted to see more from him. He was just starting to show that. It'll be interesting to see how they handle him next year. You know, if he's not ready for football until training camp, is he still going to play both sides of the ball as much as he was when he finished?
Yeah, it's a shame. And, you know, for the rest of the season, where it's a shame is I think you really saw against the Texans where you missed his ability to give you one dynamic above the X's and O's play a quarter. You know, they didn't get any first downs, got nothing going. Travis is a guy where when things are going bad, you can just sort of give him the ball and say, hey, go make a play. My understanding is this LCL injury should not affect him, you know, should not debilitate, limit, or slow anything that he had, which is important because when he moves, he's magic. This should not affect the magic in him. But I agree with Brian. It's going to be interesting to see now how you handle his load going forward. And I'm not sure they know that yet.
Hey, just one quick thought on this, too. And I think you guys might agree. That day in London, his last regular season action, he was clearly your best cover guy. And he was also your best wide receiver. Mm-hmm. That's the part. We don't get another bite of that apple, so to speak, the rest of the year to see how many more games where he would be that impactful on both sides of the ball. That was the fun part about Travis Hunter.
Absolutely. Hopefully with this recovery, with this offseason recovery, he'll come back and be the same kind of player that we've seen initially out of the gate. Our second big thing today going to be turning the page because unfortunate news in terms of Travis Hunter, unfortunate loss last week, but this team has to move forward. They had the Players' Day off on Tuesday, but Liam Cohen talked a little bit about what they went over on Monday.
Yeah, look, we just talked about as a team that, you know, this game can't beat us again. It can't beat us on Sunday at 1 p.m. because we're kicking off against the Chargers and have a very quality opponent coming into town. We're back at, we're at home and nothing, nobody cares. Nobody cares. It's just the next opportunity that we have to go try to get a W. I mean, that's the reality is that we gave up a 19-point lead in the fourth quarter essentially and didn't get it done. Their back was against the wall. And they played like it.
John, Wednesday's always kind of the turn the page day in the NFL when you focus on your opponent, not so much what you did last week, but hard to shake it off a little bit when it's the biggest loss and the biggest comeback, I guess, against them, biggest blown lead.
Yeah, and I expect Brian and I both go the same direction because we've both seen this. It's usually by Wednesday, you have no idea what happened the week before. Players are so used to that body clock. And most weeks, I don't think losses are very tough to shake off. This one was different, not only because of the 19-point lead, but because, if you're 2-8 and lose a 19-point lead, okay, great, we just lost another lead. This was a chance to get to 6-3, a chance to really feel like you're in it. They're still in it, but it's tough. And 99% of the time, I don't worry about a team bouncing back. This week, Brian, I think this is a really tough bounce back. I think they'll do it, but it's a lift.
For the sake of going a different direction on this, John, I'm excited to watch Liam Cohen this week do his work,
Yeah.
right? We heard him speak in the offseason when he was talking to his staff, and he was talking about the fast and about how he wanted to coach and growth mindset and all of those things. And I really was interested in when you hit that moment, that alarm moment in the season. Well, we hit it this week. You knew there was going to be a game where everything went wrong, and in the fourth quarter, that's exactly what happened. So how does this coach take his team through this week? I think if he gets them through this week and they play well, I'm not even saying winning, but they bounce back and they play good football, man, he's like the Pied Piper, right, with all the mice behind him. I mean, I think everybody will be fully on board. I think this week is about the head coach working his system and his team to battle a very difficult circumstance.
All right, a final big thing today is going to be charging in. The Chargers haven't been here since that very memorable playoff game back in 2022, but their quarterback, their head coach now are going to be coming in this week after a win off the Steelers. Brian, what are you looking at when you look ahead to that game?
Listen, this is a different team. I mean, that team, a different coach, the whole 9 yards. Harbaugh is different. Jim Harbaugh is an excellent football coach. No matter where he's been, the University of San Diego, the San Francisco 49ers, Michigan, and now with the Chargers, you see this team plays a different style of football. The quarterback has 19 touchdowns and only 8 interceptions, completing 67% of his passes. They're 7-3 because the quarterback is playing better football. They've had some injuries, offensive line, running back, but they still play the same style no matter who's in there. The challenge this week is for the Jaguars to line up and play tough. Because, John, that's the way that Jim Harbaugh's teams play. Yeah,
and really, until the other day, I thought they had been undefeated when they were the tougher team on the field. I thought they were pretty tough the other day, and the Texans are tough too, so a close game. There used to be sort of a thing with the Chargers for a while. Like they blew this team out here a couple of times, and you felt like there was a thing. They beat them in 17. They beat them here in the playoffs. I don't think that's a big deal anymore. But as you said, Brian, Jim Harbaugh's teams are different. This is an identity team. You know what they are. And, yeah, it's going to be punch versus punch, and the Jaguars have to punch harder.
Stay with us here on Jags A.M. We're going to do a little this or that when we come back after the break. Jags fans, if you want customized Jaguars furniture for your home, check out zipchair.com to browse all the customizable options. Zipchair is furniture for fans. Also, you can donate blood and save lives on the Big Red Bus at the annual Tailgate Blood Drive on November 22nd at Daly's Place. Blood donors score a free Jags home game ticket. For more info, go to oneblood.com/Jaguars.
Yeah, I think, we'll open up that window this week to get them get them practicing a little bit here this week and see what that looks like Wednesday, Thursday specifically, to see how he's feeling, see how he's looking. I know he's very eager to get out there and compete and play and make an impact on our offense like he was doing before he got banged up. So, trying not to put a ton of huge expectations on him or, different pressures. It's more so just, hey, let's get you out there and get practicing again, get catching the ball from the quarterback again.
This or that. This or that.
Welcome back into Jags A.M. We're going to play a little this or that, and that was Liam Cohen talking about Brenton Strange. His practice window is going to open this week, which means hopefully he'll be back on the field very soon for this team, potentially against the Chargers. And we've talked about what a big role he plays on this team in multiple ways, but which do you think he'll have a bigger impact on returning right away? Is it blocking or pass catching?
I'm going to say blocking in the run game, because if you go back and watch the long run that Travis Etienne had early in the season against the Texans, he did it. I mean, he came in on a smash route and just cleaned up and allowed Travis room to run. I think they've missed him more in the running game than the passing game.
I'm going to say yes.
Both.
Yeah, and I'm not being facetious, but he's a player who matters in both very much. And if I had to lean a direction, I'd say running game, because he's such a good blocker. But we talked in the last segment about Travis Hunter's ability to make that one play at a given time. Brenton Strange, if you think about it, in the games that he played, how many times did you see a moment where Trevor was in a little trouble, 3rd and 8, whatever, and he got the ball to Brenton on a bailout once or twice a game?
Yeah.
It felt like. Guess what, guys? 1 first down in that fourth quarter the other day probably changes that game. So I think He's going to matter in the passing offense subtly because he's not going to be the 95-yard guy, but he matters there.
Well, and how could we possibly know how important he was? Remember, he took over last year when Evan Ingram got hurt, and we said, well, he's a good player. He's a better blocker than Evan, and he's got potential as a receiver. He had that touchdown where you thought, wow, he's really got something. But did we know he was this important until he was gone?
Yeah, no, and I don't think it's overemphasizing it. Top 2 or 3 players on the team, maybe the best.
Yeah.
I mean, when he's right, and that's a lot to say about a guy who's really done it four games in this system. But I think he's a core guy going forward who's, if tight end was voted for correctly,
right,
I think he'd be a Pro Bowler.
Listen, he also is a guy that they think has a lot more upside. They think he can be a really special player for them.
It's also like when I think about how I was looking at the offensive line the first 4 weeks, and then after Brenton got hurt, it's almost completely different. And I know they've played different. They've had other injuries along the line, but it really affected my view of the offensive line of how successful I thought they were early. And I feel like a lot of that was Brenton. I didn't realize.
Well, run offense in this league is often misanalyzed, meaning people think that it's, when you see 4 yards a carry for a back, means you're getting 4 yards every carry. Usually the big running teams have a pop or two in a game. Brenton Strange is the guy who has given them that ability to pop it for 20, 25 yards. So over the course of 17 games, he does that every other game. You're talking 0.2 or 3 more in your rushing average. He matters a great deal for how this team is perceived as a running offense.
Same draft class as Parker Washington, same school as Parker Washington. And like Parker, it took him a little while, into his second season to earn the time that he got. And now, of course, he's emerged as a guy the Jaguars can't live without.
Probably the 2 most dependable on the offense right now if you look at both of them.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to play a little quick fix. If we had a magic snap of our fingers and you could immediately fix or make them top 5 in their position groups, the offensive line or the defensive line, which one would you magically snap your fingers and fix?
Boy, if I had that ability, I wouldn't waste it on this.
No, only for football.
I'll go defensive line because I think the offensive line is okayer than the defensive line right now. And the pressure on the passer, I'll go defensive line. Just the disruption, although as soon as I say that, they are stopping the run okay. This is not a lost cause on either side of these, but getting more pressure, getting more impactful pressure, probably because it's fresh off the other day.
Listen, I would say the same thing, the defensive line. And plus, we think Brenton Strange will help with the offensive line. Can I add another position group to it?
What do you want to pick?
Safety. I think the middle of the
Secondary,
field is
yeah.
a major problem for this team right now. The 2 guys that you planned on being your guys are both on injured reserve. Eric Murray, the veteran, and Caleb Bransall, the 3rd-round pick. And you're playing with Dewey, who's a hard-charging guy, and everyone loves him. And you're playing with Antonio Johnson, who just doesn't look like he has the awareness to play safety on an every-down basis. He's more of a dime linebacker. He's more of a special guy. Has a package for him. I think you got to shore up the middle of the field, in the deep third in the middle of the field. I try to find that group and make them special.
Wave it over at the receivers.
The magic wand.
So,
let's just do a full spin at this point. Yeah.
This is not meant to say that all these positions are weak right now. You're 5-4, and there are definitely paths to get to where you want to go. But we cover this team closely, and we can see certain things that if they were just getting a little more done there.
Yeah.
And a receiver, frankly, is one of those spots right now where, aside from Parker Washington, we need people to step up on this team.
And bodies, yes. Lots of things that can be improved upon. So stay with us here on Jags A.M. Coming up after the break, we'll talk a little bit about some headlines around the NFL. For 12 years, Dreamfinders Homes have been proud to call themselves the official home builder of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Visit dreamfindershomes.com for all of the available inventory. And go Jags. Jags A.M. also brought to you by Fields Auto Group. See Fields first, Jacksonville's premier luxury auto group. Go to fieldsauto.com. Welcome back into Jags A.M. We're going to do our best to check in on some of the headlines. Lots of stuff going on around the NFL. If you were up early on Sunday, the Colts were playing in Germany against the Falcons. Went to overtime. It would have been nice if the Colts lost a game once in a while.
Yeah.
But Jonathan Taylor had himself another day.
Listen, a couple years ago, I think he was a rookie. He ran for 256 yards against this team, and I thought, wow. And he hasn't been able to stay healthy through the course of a season. He's had foot and ankle injuries. But when you look at this Colts offense right now, it all runs through him. His ability to pound out 4, John, or to get 44 has made Daniel Jones the best version of himself. And the guy that I think I enjoy the most is Tyler Warren, their rookie tight end from Penn State. He is such a Swiss Army knife of a player. They've lined him up at quarterback in the shotgun. They've put him on the line of scrimmage. They've lined him up as a receiver. This Colts team is going to be really hard to catch.
Yeah, they're good, and they complement each other in the sense of, because they run the ball well, they're usually in good down and distance. And then when they get in a bind, Warren is good enough. I haven't watched any Colts game start to finish, but I've seen snippets. It seems like every time you look up, he's getting a big 3rd and 7, where you're like, oh, they were so close to getting out. So I think he's that guy. They made the Sauce Gardner trade because they understand the reality of the situation they're in. With a running back, you have a much shorter window. It's not, when I was with the Colts, they used to be asked about the window all the time. And they used to point at Peyton and say, as long as he's standing, that's our window. That's not the case with a running back. No. It's now for them. And he's at the prime of his powers, and they need to take advantage of it right now.
If he stays healthy, he's got a run in him. If he doesn't, Kai, if he has the same sort of ankle injury that cost him time in recent seasons, they aren't going to make a run. He is that important to what they do.
Absolutely. They're pushing the chips in, though, for that trade for Sauce Gardner. They're going for it right now. They're in a bye week next week, so at least we know there won't be another win this week, so there's that. Elsewhere around the league, Brian Daboll fired by the Giants the other day on Monday after an interesting tenure he's had there, right? You thinks he's got Jackson Dart going, thinks there's something more going on, then that's not quite panning out right now. He's still playing well, but being injured now with concussions. And then they're keeping the GM as for now. Interesting to see how different franchises kind of go about this, because the Dolphins have not fired their coach, but fired their GM during the season. So just interesting how different franchises are doing this.
Yeah, it's hard to know. I always hesitate to try to break down another team's coaching situation because you're not close to it, so you don't know how players are responding to the coach. But they were a playoff team his first year and had felt like there was hope each year, and then it just never worked out. Wasn't surprised when that move was made Monday. And boy, it's been, when I was a kid, and it's been a long time ago, back in the 20s, the Jets and the Giants were both down franchises. And for a long time, one of the teams has been up, and it's as low in New York football as it's been probably since the 70s.
It's not good for the league to have them both down.
No, the league office is not big on that situation.
He was brought in because of how he helped Josh Allen, take that next step. And so I understand that the quarterback whisperer thing is something people want to talk about. They want to blame him for not getting more out of the quarterback position. But
sometimes it's about the guy you're whispering to.
Oh yeah, no, I totally agree with that. They haven't had that. But I would say that my perspective on him changed when he let Saquon Barkley leave. Right? I know he's not the general manager, but the Eagles got 2,000 yards out of a guy that the Giants just really had no interest in.
And he wanted to stay, and
How do you mishandle that? I mean, Barkley is such a talent. And I know he's a running back, and he's a guy who plays with power, and so his career longevity, right? Maybe they were looking at that, and I don't know all the details, but just on surface, if you can't get what he is and what he's capable of and use that, you probably don't deserve to be the head coach of the New York Giants.
I know we talk a lot about running backs and their lifespans are short, but there's probably, a handful that you would give the money to, and Saquon's certainly one of the 5.
Well, it's not an important position, right? But we've talked about Jonathan Taylor and Saquon Barkley in our first 2 stories here.
Absolutely. All right, our final ones, we're going to talk a little bit. We're facing them next week, but we're heading to Arizona. Kyler Murray's gone to injured reserve there. Seems like a situation where they might be trying to potentially move on from him at the end of the year as well. So an interesting kind of play-out situation there with what they thought was their franchise quarterback. He might end up playing somewhere else.
Yeah, he got a 5-year, $96 million contract.
Yeah, it seems like the ship has sailed there. I would rather the Jaguars be playing the Cardinals with Kyler Murray on the field. because I think they have a better chance at it. So it certainly feels like he's been a dynamic player. I don't know how well he wins from the pocket.
Well, and you've got Marvin Harrison Jr., who you took high in the draft last year, who has underachieved. So you need a quarterback, a steady passing quarterback, like Jacoby Brissett, to try to bring it out. But they're going to eat $50, $60 million in cap room next year because of the guaranteed money that they gave Kyler Murray.
Yep, see what that looks like.
And his next path will be interesting.
It
You
will.
think it'll be baseball?
Oh, no, I would, well,
Remember,
I
he
don't
was
know.
a first-round pick in baseball, too.
It seems like that's a long layoff to go back and get a timing sport like baseball back. But what do I know? I'm just an old sports writer.
Baseball. Just like riding a bike, I think, right? Pitching baseball, maybe? No?
What position? Was he a shortstop or an outfielder?
Yeah, again,
Yeah, we don't cover it.
don't take my opinion on that, Kyler. Do what you got to do.
It's curious, yeah.
I think you might try to stick with football.
Yeah.
Stay with us here on Jags A.M. We will be right back and we'll tell you what's going on the rest of the week here. Jaguars versus Chargers game this weekend is delivered by CSX. Also, Jags fans on Tuesday, November 18th from 5 to 6 head to Publix at University Square at 2875 University Boulevard to meet B.J. Green II, Danny Strigo, Bashal Tootin, and Colin Saunders Sr. of your Jacksonville Jaguars, as well as Jackson DeVille and the Roar members as well for a special appearance, Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. Back here, we're going to hear from head coach Liam Cohen in a little bit here this morning on Wednesday. We'll get an update. Obviously, we heard about Travis Hunter will be out for the rest of the season. That's a blow on both sides of the football. So frustrating there, but got to turn the page and look ahead.
Yeah, and I mean, I talked earlier about how I was excited to see how the coach handles this. You know, he intimated that there could be some lineup changes. I mean, you're in the middle of the season. You have a 53-man roster. It's not like you can go crazy. But there are some places that I think I would look at. Left tackle, I said the other day, would be one I'd look at based on the way that he is playing. So I'll be interested to see, you know, now that they've had 48 hours plus to digest it, what they think they can do to make these 8 games left the most productive they can.
Yeah, and watch the defensive line on that front, too. It's harder to know if there's, quote, lineup changes in the defensive line because they rotate
too much, yeah.
But I think you might see different players emphasized in different spots.
Strigo and Green, do they get more opportunities to rush the passer?
Yeah, I mean, at some point.
I mean, you've got Josh Allen and you've got Trayvon Walker, 2 first-round picks, 2 highly paid guys. I'm not saying that Green and Strigo are going to change it, but maybe in concert, in places where you do things completely different, put some of those guys on the field together.
And the backups behind Josh and Trayvon, we haven't seen a ton of production out of, so I think it's fair to maybe rotate that a little bit more. But we'll keep an eye on things, and then we'll be back here tomorrow on Jags A.M. to talk all about the Chargers.